guys! Welcome or welcome back to the Infinite Library. I'm Kyla and today I'm going to be going over all the books that I'm hoping to read in the month of April. I'm apparently dressed today to match my current read, but this is hopefully will be done by April. So, April is Magical Readathon time. I first took part in this last April and I had an absolute blast with it. It's run by G from Books Roast and essentially it's like a magical academia themed readathon where you create a character and they follow like a job calling inside this magical school. There's a whole magical world and lore created by G, which is absolutely amazing. Please check it out. It's so well in depth and there's a great community all around it. So I found out about this last March and very quickly repurposed one of my D&D characters to take part in this, and this is going to be my second time around doing it. So my character is Elspeth. She is originally a tiefling warlock in D&D and I kind of wanted her to be kind of like a teacher, I suppose, in a magical school. So in this, she's basically kind of like these are her early years, is kind of how I see this. And her calling is Feywild Cartographer. So that is one of the, it's one of sort of the middling kind of callings. It's not the most extensive of prompts that you get for it, but it's not the easiest either. It's just a kind of nice middle ground. So for Feywild Cartographer, you get 7 prompts. They all apply to different subjects. So you kind of pick your calling and there are a list of prompts to every single subject and your calling will have specific subjects. So most of my books that I'm reading for this month are going to be for this Magical Readathon, ideally. Thankfully, I got very lucky with the prompts and I managed to squeeze in like a lot of the books I was already planning on reading this month into those prompts. There's usually some side quests and other stuff going on as well. So I'm part of the House of the Arcane. There are 4 different houses within the group, and as an additional side quest that we're going to be doing, there's going to be a book club book. I'm going to decide if I'm going to read it or not depending on what it ends up being. So that'll be whatever that is. But to get on to the main subject books. So for Magical Readathon for the class of Feywild Cartographer, the first class is Elemental Studies, and for this I have to read a book with a source of light on the cover. And it just so happens I've had a buddy read planned with Claire's Creative Corner, and we're going to be reading Assistant to the Villain this month. I've kind of corralled her into also joining Magical Readathon now, so sorry about that, but not sorry, you're gonna have a great time. But if you look very closely, there is a candle inside a jar here. So I'm like, right, this counts for my source of light on the cover. So this is my Elemental Studies prompt. I'm hoping I'm really going to enjoy this book. As you probably know, I'm not massive on romance, but this one just sounds really fun. Essentially, it is about a woman who ends up working for like a supervillain and she kind of falls for him, but it sounds like it's going to be very comedic. It sounds like there's going to be a lot of hijinks and stuff. So I think it's going to be a good time and it's not massively long, so I'm really looking forward to reading this with Claire and hopefully we'll really enjoy it. So that's Elemental Studies. Next is Shapeshifting. So this one is to read from an author who blurbed your last 5-star read. And my last 5-star read is Voyage of the Damned by Frances White. And very handily on the back here is a little blurb from Sonia Dean, author of The Book Eaters. And as if it couldn't get any better, my friend wants to buddy read that book with me this month. So it was absolutely perfect timing. I have the Illumicrate exclusive edition of The Book Eaters and I've been dying to read this for ages now. So I just needed a good excuse and this was the perfect excuse. Editing Kyla here, so just a quick update. So regarding The Book Eaters, I'm actually going to be pushing this back a month. Basically me and my friend who were buddy reading it decided not to read it this month, so I'm pushing that one forward. So I found another book that fits the prompt, someone who blurbed your last 5-star. So there was only Sonia Dean on the actual physical copy of the book, but thankfully the author has been posting a whole bunch of like extra blurbed by on their Instagram. So I had a look at a couple of them and I decided to go with Gabby Burton. I already have this book, and to be honest, it's a book that I'm not massively intrigued by. And I think I really actually do need like a motivation to pick it up. But it's not massively long. It is a YA fantasy called Sing Me to Sleep by Gabby Burton. I don't know a whole lot about it. Let me just have a look at the premise quickly. So it is a forbidden romance featuring an all black and brown cast and a compulsively dark plot full of twists. This seductive YA fantasy is perfect for fans of The Cruel Prince and To Kill a Kingdom. So basically it tells the story of this girl called Swase, I am never going to pronounce that right, sorry, who is the last siren in her kingdom. Her very existence is illegal, and she's trying to keep her identity secret because otherwise she'll be killed. A blackmailer apparently threatens her sister, and her investigation takes her to the royal palace and her most dangerous job yet, personal bodyguard to the crown prince. So I'm guessing this is going to be like a little bit of a, I want to say enemies to lovers, but basically the prince is actually really nice. So yeah, it sounds interesting actually. I'm not upset about reading it. I feel like it's going to be like a chill read possibly. So yeah, that is what I'm reading now instead for that prompt. The next subject is animal studies, and for this I have to read a book with yellow title, I think it is. I think you can just have any book that's got yellow on the cover. But for this, I actually picked up a graphic novel recently, and it's one I really want to read, and it just so happens to have a yellow title. So for animal study, very accurate in terms of title, to be honest, I'm going to be reading The Tea Dragon Society, which I'm really excited to get to. If you don't know about it, it is just this really cute, like, I think it's queer as well. Like, I love the art. It's like very pastel and soft. And essentially, this is by the same people who wrote Princess Ever After, which is something I really like. Basically, it tells the story of Greta, an adventurous blacksmith apprentice, and the people she meets as she becomes entwined in the enchanting world of tea dragons. After discovering a lost tea dragon in the marketplace, Greta learns about the dying art form of tea dragon caretaking from the kind tea shop owners, Hesekiel and Eric. As she befriends them and their shy ward Mignette, Greta sees how the craft enriches their lives and eventually her own. So this is just the first book. I think there's a whole series, but I've been dying to read this. So this is another book I'm very excited to get to, honestly, this month. Next, we have astronomy. The prompt for this is zodiac recommendation. Essentially, I had to go and find a post online that gave you recommendations for books that kind of fit your zodiac. I'm a Pisces, so I had to look for a couple of different ones before I found something I was really interested in. And the ironic thing is the book that I've picked is actually really relevant to the subject of astronomy, because it's a book called Written in the Stars. It is a sapphic contemporary romance. I don't really know a whole lot about it, but I've kind of had it on my radar for a bit. And I managed to find the audiobook for it on my like local library borrow box thing. So I was like, you know what, this sounds perfect. I wanted not just fantasy and stuff. I wanted a range of genres for this. So yeah, that is what I'm going to be reading for that, and I'm hoping I'll like it. The next subject is demonology, and the prompt for that is a book you did not pay for. And as it happens, I have an ARC right now waiting for me to read. I recently requested from NetGalley an ARC for The Honey Witch, which is a sapphic cozy fantasy book that's coming out around May time, I think. And I didn't expect to actually get accepted for this ARC because I know it's kind of a very hyped book, but I did. I have a digital ebook of that to read, and I have to read in April anyway, so this actually just worked out perfectly. So that is my demonology prompt. The last two prompts are a little bit tricky. So the next prompt is for alchemy, and that is to read a book with a circle on the cover. And at the moment, I have a couple of choices for this, mostly because whatever book this is going to be is likely going to be whatever my own book club book is going to be. I'd already picked like the nominations for it, and they all just so happen to have circles on the cover in one way or another. So I don't exactly know yet which it's going to be, because at this point in time we haven't had our next meeting yet, so we haven't done our like votes for the books, but by the time this video is uploaded we will have done. But my options for that, I have two of them physically so far. One of them is waiting for me to pick up from the library, and the other one is kind of I'm waiting for it to come into the library, essentially. So the options are Godkiller by Hannah Kaner, which is a fantasy book that was getting quite a lot of hype last year. The sequel has just came out, and I feel like I'm cheating a little bit, but there are, like, I don't know if you can see, but there's like these little foil circles all around, plus we have this big moon here. So that is one of the options. I don't have the other two physically. So the other options are A Master Jin, which is I think it's like a sci-fi-ish, historically kind of fantasy that sounds really interesting. And you can see it has like lots of cogs and stuff on it. So I'm counting that as my circles on the cover. And the third book club nomination is So Let Them Burn. And again, I feel like I'm cheating a bit, but that O in So Let Them Burn, I'm saying that's a circle. So one of those three will be the book club book pick, and I will likely pick that to be my alchemy book. If for some reason I decide not to, my other option is to read The Circus Infinite, because I want to try and fit this in this month anyway. Obviously lots of circles in the cover. Someone I met recently who watches my videos was telling me how good this is and how I really need to get to it soon. So I really am going to try and fit this in this month, but we will see if I manage it or not. I'm hoping to, because I've not got too many massive books to read in April. So that is all of the subjects now, apart from one. And the reason for that is because I get to use my TBR jar to pick this last one. So the final subject is inscription, which is to write down 3 titles, fold them, and pick one. So I have to pick out this TBR jar every month anyway, so basically what I'm going to do for this is I'm going to pick 3 out, and then I'm just going to pick one of them. And then just for the fun of it, I'll get to open the other 2 just to see what they could have been, and then they're going to go back in the jar for another month. Let's do it. Okay, I've got 1. I'm keeping them folded up for now. Got 2. And is that more than 1? No, 3. Okay, I have all 3. I'm just going to give them a shake in my hand, and then I'm going to pick... Oh, that's 2. We're going to pick the one that didn't fold up into itself. The Sandman, Book of Dreams. So this is a short story collection. Let me find it. So it's not very big, which is good. I love the Sandman series. It is a graphic novel series, originally by Neil Gaiman and various artists. It's also recently got a Netflix adaptation, which I haven't actually seen yet. Maybe reading this will motivate me to finally get around to it. But this is basically, it's edited by Neil Gaiman and Ed Kramer, but it is a whole bunch of different authors. Let me have a quick look. Clive Barker, I'm trying to think if I recognise any of these authors. Tad Williams rings a bell. Susanna Clarke, Tori Amos. Those are the only ones I think I recognise. So we have, we have a picture in here of Dream. Let me count how many stories there is in this. I believe there is 21 stories in this. I say it's not massively long, but one of the reasons why I haven't got around to this, despite me loving the Sandman, is how small the font is. It's so freaking small. So it's going to be a little bit of a struggle, but because it's an anthology, what I can do is I can just slowly read this throughout the month. So yeah, I'm glad to finally be getting to this, because like most of the books in this jar, I've had this on my shelf for absolutely ages. And literally the only excuse for why I haven't read it is the font. So if I just I feel like if I just spread this out over the month, then it won't be too bad, rather than me trying to read the whole thing at once. So yeah, that is going to be my inscription book, and that is my TBR book. Let's have a look at what the other 2 options could have been, and then they're going to go back in the jar. So I almost picked Strawberry Panic, which is a sapphic manga. It's also really long, so I'm not upset about that. And The Way of Shadows, which is a fantasy, I believe, by Brent Weeks. Okay, so we're refolding those and we're putting them back in there for next time. We're starting to get not many left in there now. So that is the main TBR for the month. At the current time of filming, I have about a week left in March, and I suspect I'm not going to quite get through all the books that I planned to. I just wasn't really feeling some of them. So there are 2 books that I know are going to have fallen off my TBR. So if I get time in April, I will try and get to these as well, and they are my TBR pick from last month, which was Prince Stat and the Realms of Atlantis. I just really wasn't feeling this, to be honest. I was reading a lot of heavy fantasy in March, and I just wanted a break from fantasy for a bit. Thankfully, my April TBR is very diverse in terms of genre, so I might again be feeling a fantasy. So I will hopefully get to this in April, and also I will hopefully get to Empire of the Damned. Empire of the Vampire, sorry, as well, because I did not start this. It's quite chunky. I'm trying to prioritise finishing the Robin Hobb book for the rest of March, and that way I will just be able to have this as like my next chunky book. I'll probably also still be reading more of it as well. We are a decent way through it. I think we're about 300 or so pages into it at the moment, but we're just taking it as a slow buddy read. So yeah, that is all the books that I have planned to read in the month of April. Let me know down below if there's any that you're really excited and things that you're excited I'm going to be reading, whether you're also taking part in Magical Readathon. And as always, stay safe, stay cozy, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!